It began in a living room where the television was on but nobody was watching. An ordinary person did not know this would be the day life stopped allowing old excuses. People often imagine courage as something loud. In real life, courage is sometimes just not collapsing when everyone expects you to. The difficult part was not simply pain. Pain comes to almost everyone. The difficult part was discovering that no one else could make the next choice. Advice could circle around the situation, but the step itself belonged to an ordinary person. For a while, he wanted the old world back, the simpler self, the easier answer, the version of life in which good intentions were enough. But some days divide a life into before and after, and no amount of wishing can sew them together again. The change began quietly. Not with confidence, but with responsibility. An ordinary person did one thing that needed doing, then another. The world did not applaud. The pain did not vanish. But a new strength appeared, not bright, not loud, simply dependable. That is how many people actually grow. They are not transformed by a slogan. They are reshaped by a problem they cannot avoid and by the decision not to become smaller than the problem. By the end, he had not become invincible. That would be too easy. He had become more honest, and sometimes honesty is the first real form of strength. There was one detail he would remember later: the way a hand hesitated near a pocket, the way a chair scraped the floor, the way a familiar room suddenly felt like a place where everyone was acting. Today people are told to be resilient, productive, emotionally intelligent, financially smart, and constantly available. But very few people are given the time to be confused, hurt, or unfinished. This story reminds us that growth is not a motivational slogan. Growth is often a private negotiation with pain: what to keep, what to release, and how not to become cruel just because life has been cruel. The most important change in a person may never appear on a resume. It may simply be the moment they choose not to repeat the harm that was done to them. This is why the story does not feel old, even if the setting may belong to another time. The costumes change, the technology changes, the cities change, but the human problem remains recognizable. People still want to be understood before they are judged. They still want a second chance without being reduced to their worst mistake. They still want love that does not turn every weakness into evidence against them. And perhaps the most important lesson is this: compassion is not the refusal to see the truth. Compassion is seeing the truth clearly and still refusing to destroy a person with it. What remains is not a perfect ending. What remains is the reminder that a person can be wounded and still choose not to become the wound.